This is the eastern Ukrainian city of Slovyansk. Armed gunmen in military fatigues ride around in tanks on the main streets, flying the flag of the self-styled Dombass People's Republic. And it's here, as well as in the region of Luhansk, that loyal pro-Russian rebels maintain they will hold a fair referendum on May the 11th on whether or not to secede from Kyiv. On May the 6th, Russian President Vladimir Putin made a surprising appeal to the insurgents to postpone the unsanctioned vote.
We think that a dialogue between Kyiv and southeastern Ukraine is the key element to resolving the crisis.
Despite Moscow's calls, the Separatist self-proclaimed election commissioner vowed not to delay the referendum any longer.
I'm sure that if the referendum is not held on the 11th of May, we won't be able to hold it at all because we'll have lost the trust of ordinary people.
Over 3 million ballot papers are printed for the vote. It's being held without international observers and under what many claim the barrel of a gun. There's not even an official voters list. The headquarters for their operation is a regional government building, one of many seized in almost a dozen towns and cities across the country's east. Ukraine's security officials have said they're prepared to prevent the vote from taking place.
The terrorist threat is real in Slovyansk and Kramatorsk, and we are saying this openly to the people. And we want to repeat that those leaving the security perimeter, weapon in hand, will be arrested and detained and taken into custody by the court, regardless of their nationality or of what their intentions are.
Despite the interim government's promises, law enforcement officials have often been humiliated by mobs wielding baseball bats and guns. Many riot police officers have sometimes just laid down their shields and helmets and surrendered. The Kyiv government and the West greeted Putin's skillful backtrack with strong scepticism. Most think he's trying to avoid further criticism by distancing himself from the rebels, while at the same time in the knowledge the referendum is going full steam ahead. The Kremlin is accused of trying to sabotage Ukraine's presidential elections on May the 25th. It just says, though, it's protecting Russian speakers from what they call the fascists, Russophobes and anti-Semites in Kyiv's interim government. Just days ago, the US labelled the referendum as bogus and contrived.
We flatly reject this illegal effort to further divide Ukraine, and its pursuit will create even more problems in the effort to try to de-escalate the situation. This is really the Crimea playbook all over again, and no civilized nation is going to recognize the results of such a bogus effort.
It's almost the same scenario as Russia's annexation of Crimea. On March the 3rd, Putin claimed that armed militants who invaded Crimea were not Russian soldiers but local defense forces wearing uniforms bought from local shops. Then, about 2 weeks later, the sham referendum on whether to secede from Ukraine supposedly resulted in over 95% of people supporting union with Russia. The following day, Putin confessed during a live TV interview Russian troops had been deployed prior to the vote. More recently, Putin's Human Rights Council accidentally posted the real Crimean election results, which found a mere 15% of Crimeans voted for annexation. The announcement was quickly taken down. Just days ago, Ukraine's security services intercepted a phone call between rebels and a pro-Russian radical politician, suggesting that vote rigging was already being organised for May the 11th. Back in Slovyansk, though, although some feel let down by the Kyiv government, many just hope for peace.
I am for united Ukraine. I am against this madness that is taking place in our city. I am ashamed for our people who protest fake Bandera when they see Russian special voices here. I am not afraid to say this. I hope Ukraine will stay united in the end.
People here are trying to live as normal, despite challenges including a scarce amount of cash. Most fear, though, that Russia's conquest will continue long after the final ballot papers are posted this weekend.